When Charlotte Mason said a feast, I think Alveary said yes. Welcome back to Living with Charlotte. I'm Lillian, creator of livingwithcharlotte.com, a global hub where I curate all the best Charlotte Mason curriculum, events, local groups, and resources in one spot. I'm a homeschool mom and a Charlotte Mason fangirl. Actually, I just want to shout out this person. She just made my day with her comment from my previous video. Like, fellow Charlotte Mason fangirl, thank you very much. I love you. If you're new to my channel, you can expect more Charlotte Mason curriculum reviews that do a deep dive into the curriculum and to show you just everything that's included in that curriculum. I'll also be sharing my own observations about Charlotte Mason's philosophy, so stay tuned for that and make sure you subscribe so you know when my next video drops. Also, shout out to Alveary review series sponsor Humble Heart Press. So Alveary has partnered with Humble Heart Press to get their PDFs into these beautiful, ready-to-use physical books, and I always show a flip through of those lesson plans in these videos. So you can go now, if you already are an Alveary member, you can just click on the link that sends you to all the lesson plans, and their print shop is up and live, and you can take a look. You can print like the whole curriculum for one grade, or you can print by individual subjects. If you are not considering purchasing the printed version of Alveary, you can still go to Humble Heart Press and really get any PDF printed. I mean, they'll work with you. They will get any other curriculum PDF printed, even art prints. So make sure you check that out. The link is in my description box. And I also have a coupon code if that is going to be your first order with them. Okay, today we are finally wrapping up my 10-part Alveary series. Oh my gosh. Okay, this video, I am consolidating 8 subjects into this video. So do you guys understand why this review series was so long? There is so much that Alveary has included in this curriculum. So today we are covering the rest of it. Today's video is going to include Sloyd, handicrafts, sewing, lettering, keyboarding, technology, health, and physical education or physical movement. By the way, I know these videos have been long, but I have included timestamps for every single video. So if you're not interested in some of the subjects, but you are interested in some of the other portions of the video, make sure you check out the timestamps in the description box below. I have timestamps for all my videos. So if it feels like it's a long video and you want to kind of speed forward a little bit to some of the topics you're interested in, make sure you check out the timestamps. Okay, let's start with Sloyd in the Alveary curriculum. Sloyd, I don't know about you. Again, it's one of those things where I've never heard of Sloyd before Charlotte Mason. What is Sloyd? So Sloyd is a Scandinavian system of progressive paper and cardboard handicraft designed to train the hand, the eye, and the habit of precision through a sequence of small projects and increasing in difficulty. Now, cardboard Sloyd is something that Charlotte Mason directly mentions as part of their children's curriculum under handiwork, and this was in volume 3, School Education. Now, the purpose of Sloyd has some overlap with handicrafts, but it is distinct enough to have its own full course, and that's what Alveary has done. They have 8 levels, starting with Intro to Sloyd all the way to level 7. Now, scope and progression of the Sloyd course. In the Intro to Sloyd, that's for grades 1 and up. There's no book, there's no measuring, just basic cutting and folding skills. The models are things like a square fold, a simple cube, a corner bookmark. My kid really loved making those corner bookmarks. There's an envelope or a paper airplane, and it's 15 minutes a week, once a week. And the goal is to complete it with precision. So precision is a key word before moving on to the next step. Then the levels start with grade 2 with level 1, and that's about 15 to 20 minutes a week, again, still using paper. And then by level 4, they start using cardboard, and they start building 3D geometric shapes, and they use a new book to help them with those projects. By the time they reach level 7, which is for 8th grade and up, this is more advanced folding. So Alveary notes it will be interesting for students who wish to go on to higher level maths, engineering, design, architecture, etc. So this level will be a perfect challenge for students who are interested in that. So you see that the progression for developing skills is thoughtfully graduated to respect fine motor skills at the student's age and their grasp of geometric concepts. So you kind of see how math is also heavily integrated into Sloyd as a topic. Now, every lesson has a video tutorial component where someone is taking you through exactly the steps on how to make that project. So it's a mix of some in-house videos that Alveary has made and some YouTube videos. Now, one thing to note that for the early years, this isn't like an independent lesson. You can't just, turn on the video and let them be, especially if they are in the younger years. It's still recommended that the teacher or that you are present to help them along in the process. This is the Sloyd flip through of the lesson plans, and this is for level 7, which is for grades 8 and up. And this printed product is actually a Humble Heart Press product. The Humble Heart Press is the sponsor of the Alveary series, so this is what you would get when you purchase their physical books for Alveary. And you can see how thick this is and the kind of binding that they provide and the cover as well. So all the levels will look about the same, and it's just really the progression and the skill set that they're working on in the Sloyd program. And this is level 7 for grades 8. You see about the course, planning and prep, and the book that is being used at this level, supply list, and the quick links. So again, these quick links, which are available at the top of the lesson plan pages, they will show you all the links to the video tutorials that you would need. And then this is just a quick guidance on how to teach Sloyd. And then the rest of the lesson plans, it's going to look pretty repetitive. So it'll tell you, which pages to go through. And I think at this level, it's giving the student a choice of which model they would like to work on, and that they would get to practice that model a handful of times. So it's not just a new model every single week. So that is pretty much what each of the lesson plans look like. It's quite repetitive, as you can see, and very simple. And so this whole lesson plan packet is 18 pages, and they have the exams, which is basically share one of the pieces that you made this term. So that's it for Sloyd. One last note about Sloyd, it is a standalone curriculum product, so you can get it from the Alveary shop, and I have that linked below in the description. Okay, now related to Sloyd, let's now move on to Handicrafts. In Volume 1, Home Education, Charlotte Mason, she lays out the 4 points to bear in mind for children's handicrafts. So first, that children, quote, should not be employed in making futilities such as pea and stick work, paper mats, and the like. Second, that they should be taught slowly and carefully what to do. Third, that slipshod work should not be allowed. And fourth, that the work should be kept well within their compass, basically within their ability. Now, another thing to note here too is that Mason's emphasis in handiwork was never for the finished object for its own sake. It was always for the goal of forming the child, the formation of the child. And I think Alveary's handicraft lessons really kept that spirit. So the recurring instruction that they have them focus on is craftsmanship, and to keep repeating the models so that they can get better at it, and that they'll feel more confident to make that project again and even gift it to somebody else. So the handicraft lessons are on a rotation, and this spans grades 2 through 12. They're all going through the same lessons, and it's 3 terms, 3 different crafts per term. For this year in 2026 to 2027, term 1 will be clay modeling, which they actually offer every year, and it's been a staple handicraft even in Mason's day. Now, what's great about the clay modeling lessons is they do try to incorporate it into some of the other lessons. So, for example, they suggest modeling the characters from a literature or history lesson, maybe even building structures that they're learning about through architecture, and even doing map work in clay. For this year, term 2, they will be studying sashiko and redwork. These are new to me, but they are 2 hand stitching embroidery traditions, Japanese sashiko and Western redwork. And in term 3, they will study what's called cloisonne. I hope I'm saying that right. It's an enameling style technique adapted for the home with using wire and colored sand. So with terms 2 and 3, it's really neat that they tie in even the type of handiwork or handicraft to the current history rotation. And if you're not familiar, 2026 to 2027, the history rotation is the 1800s up to 1900. And for 5th grade and up, it will be ancient history as well. This is a flip through of the Handicrafts lesson plan, and as I mentioned before, this spans grades 2 through 12, so this isn't just for 8th grade. And you'll see in the About the Course section what types of handicrafts will be covered. This is the 2025 to 2026 curriculum, so this will not be the same for this new year of the Alveary curriculum. So this was last year's, that's why it looks a little different from what I was talking about. And scheduling, you can see that here. The books that they will be covering here and the guidance on planning and prep. Of course, it's handicraft, so there is a lot of prep involved, but they provide all the supplies that you would need for that year's handicrafts. And the quick links will include all the video tutorials that you would watch with your child, or if your child is pretty independent, then they can watch the tutorials on their own. And then how to teach, and then the lesson plan. So as you can see, this is a little bit more involved than the Sloyd lesson plans. They go through an introduction, what type of materials to prepare, and just how to set the stage for that particular handicraft. And they do that for each day, and they provide these video tutorials for each of the handicraft projects that they'll be working through in the term. So it's really just one type of project or one type of handicraft that they work on for that whole term, and plenty of scheduled practice so that they're not, moving from one type of project to the next. So they really get to keep practicing those skills. They also include these really helpful notes for the teachers. Younger students may need assistance with threading needles, setting up hoops, etc. So they do provide some of those helpful notes so that you can customize this to your child's skill level. In terms of how long this lesson plan is, this is 33 pages. So a lot of good content that they give in the lesson plans for handicrafts. And same as Sloyd, their exams are really just to show your finished project to an adult. One last note for handicraft, because the lesson plans span across grades 2 all the way through 12, it will be up to you, the parent educator, to figure out how to pace the lesson so that it's matching the current grade level or skill level that your children are at. And if you might need to repeat a project, or if an older student is picking up really quickly, then you can pace it a little bit faster. Handicraft is also a standalone curriculum product. You can get that in the Alveary shop, which again is in the description box below. Now, Alveary doesn't just stop there with handicrafts. On top of the handicraft lesson plans, they have a separate course for just sewing and another course for lettering. So these are two more separate handicraft lessons, and those two courses span the whole year. Okay, let's first talk about sewing. They have two levels, and that spans across grades 1 through 6. And this is where they will learn the skill and practice making projects so that they can give it as gifts. Level 1 is for grades 1 through 3, and this is where they learn basic sewing skills, and they'll use a book called Sewing School. Now, beginners will work through the first 12 lessons to build a sewing kit, learn fundamentals, and then they'll choose the projects that they want to work on. This is about 20 minutes once a week, and they will cover at least 2 projects per term. In level 2, which is grades 4 through 6, it moves into more embroidery, and they'll use a book called The Amazing Stitching Handbook for Kids, and that's about 2 projects per term again. Now, Alveary explicitly notes that sewing is a skill to build on for doing useful work that serves. So they really encourage the students to think, who can we give this to? Perhaps someone at a local shelter, or someone in our community, or someone we just care for, and give it to them as gifts. This is the sewing lesson plan flip through, and this is level 2, which is for grades 4 to 6. So again, sewing, they only have level 1 and 2. This is not a Humble Heart Press product. This is my printer, and you guys are probably noticing that I have this weird streaking action going on. Please forgive me. This is the lesson plans. These are the lesson plans, planning and prep, books and resources. You can see this is the book that they're going through, and this is actually the 2026-2027 version of the sewing lesson plans. Supplies, and the links for the video tutorials. How to teach, that's pretty straightforward. And one thing I want to point out, which is kind of a nice add for this year's curriculum, is they now have the materials kind of separated out into this nice colored box so that it's a lot easier to see what are the materials needed for those days' lessons. So I noticed that has been a nice change for this year's lessons, and that's across all the subjects. So very nice update there. And you'll see that the lesson plans, they are pretty straightforward. There's prep, an introduction to what they will be working on, and a time to practice that skill. And you'll see that being repeated over through the weeks. And so this will help kind of pace through the book that they are using. So that is essentially the same thing. And this course is 15 pages long. Exams are showing and sharing their project with another person. Let's move on to lettering. Now, lettering is a course that is for grades 7 and up, and they'll have 3 different levels in the lettering course. And the purpose is to create beautiful collections of mottos and quotes in our commonplace book, or if you want to do lettering for displays or for gifts. Right, so it's all about creating beautiful things. Now, all 3 levels use the same book, the complete book of chalk lettering. In level 1, which is grade 7 and up, they'll learn fundamentals using a chalkboard, and that's about 20 minutes a week. Level 2 is grades 8 and up, and this is where they start building their decorative toolbox. They'll learn how to create banners, frames, borders. Level 3 is for grades 9 and up. They'll utilize the same techniques, but using new mediums. So watercolor, ink and brush, using the brush pen. And students will now set up an art book for their work. Now, as the teenager learns the lettering skills, this is where they can take their commonplace book to the next level, and they'll craft the words that they're writing down in their commonplace book, and using their lettering skills, they can turn it into this work of beauty and not just collecting the words. This is the lettering lesson plan flip through, and for grades 8 and up. And this one is pretty simple about the course. It has once per week lessons, and they use the book called The Complete Book of Chalk Lettering. Here are the supplies that are needed and quick links to the tutorials. How to teach, and these are the lesson plans. So you'll see that they're fairly consistent with the formatting. So watching a video link, reading and narrating through the book, and practicing the different styles of lettering. And so it'll also note what type of style they will be learning in the lesson plans. Fairly easy lesson plans, pretty much look the same across each of the terms. And this whole course is 15 pages long. And the exam questions are to show your project to an adult. Let's move on to keyboarding. Alveary uses a free web platform called typing.com, and they start typing in grades 4 and it goes all the way to grades 8, and it's for twice a week for 30 minutes each. Now there's a placement test that you can take on typing.com. So a child with some typing experience can start where they are actually at. And the weekly lesson plan, it's really essentially a tracker, and I'll make sure to show that to you. The way they go through the lessons, there's an introduction, they'll watch the web tutorial, they'll do the practice drills and play the games for the keyboarding exercises. The goal is to develop skills for their written narrations, and it's not necessarily to replace any of their handwritten narrations, but this is just an extra modern skill that they can learn so that some of their narrations can be handwritten, some of them can be typed. And it's really up to you when you actually start the keyboarding lessons. This is the flip through for the keyboarding program for grades 4 to 8, and that's the only grade band that they have for keyboarding. And this is really just meant to go through for 1 year, so you can really start your student at any time. And keyboarding, this is probably the most simplistic of all the lesson plans that Alveary has, and I'll show you why. It gives you some planning and prep instruction. They use typing.com, which is a free platform. How to teach, and then these are the lesson plans. And you're going to notice that these lesson plans repeat exactly the same thing. So week 1, week 2, week 3, it's exactly the same lesson plan. So this is really meant to be a tracker. Same type of lesson plan all throughout. And so this is only about 18 pages long. Exams are just retyping the last lesson and recording your words per minute and accuracy. And that's it for keyboarding. Let's move on to the technology course. So this is an elective that you can take around grades 9 through 12. It could possibly be suitable for grades 7 and 8. Now there's no textbook for this one, and students will need a Google account. This is going to be a course that's twice a week for 30 minutes, and the content spans digital media creation through coding, so like HTML, web design, understanding algorithms, logo and graphic design, and they'll use website builders like Card, and they'll even run a technology timeline. So when a lot of these new modern technologies came into our history. Along with that, students are encouraged to then reflect on the implications of technology and to consider even topics like privacy, the digital divide, the role of innovation in our society. And the explicit aim is to really equip them to think critically about the world of technology and its impact on lives and their future. So there's plenty of opportunity for narration and discussion on these topics. So it's not just about learning a technology skill. It's really a much more in-depth way of covering even the ethics of technology. This is the technology course flip through for grades 9 to 12. So this isn't for 8th grade, but I think they do note that it can be suitable for grades 7 to 8. So about the course and what it covers is there. It is scheduled twice a week for 30 minutes. no books assigned, but there are a lot of articles and resources that they will link to, and you'll find those links here. Now, how to teach. So you'll see that there are a few more sections to the technology course. And what's neat is that they're not just teaching the technology skill. There are topics that they will read about and reflect on and even discuss about the impact of technology and what it means for the future of society. So I think that's a really great way to bring the living aspect to a subject like technology. And you'll see the lesson plans here. There's an introduction and different links to some of the activities that they'll go through or some skills that they'll be learning. And you'll see that they'll cover HTML. They'll read about people who have been significant in the bringing of digital technology, especially. But they'll be learning on different skills in the digital technology world. History of computers, what is computer science, pioneers in the history of technology, etc. So this is a very robust course about the whole landscape of computer technology especially. So that is your flip through. And this whole course is 41 pages long. And you'll see that there are some specific exam questions based on what technology skills they've covered, and even talking about the people that they've learned about through this course. The technology course is also a standalone product that you can find in the Alveary shop. Now let's talk about their next elective course that they have, and this is the health elective. Now they do label this as a beta version, so they're probably going to expand it and make a more official version in the future. But based on what we have, the health elective is a high school health course for grades 10 to 12, and it occurs 3 times a week at 45 minutes per session. Now, the whole point is to focus on the whole personhood of the student, which covers nutrition, mental health, and physical well-being. The 4 books that they use are called A Simply Healthy Life, Body into Balance, The Joy of Movement, and Eat Well and Feel Great. You can check out these books in their public book list, which I'll link in the description box below. During the health course, students will keep a health notebook and set up an intentional fitness goal. Now this course, it does lean more towards like holistic and herbal approaches. And the very first lessons that the videos use, Alveary says it really is meant to challenge traditional medicine as the only route to health. Now, Alveary does have an explicit disclaimer that they're not advocating these specific stances taken or the books that the speakers wrote. And it frames the goal as teaching students to, again, think critically, ask good questions, learn how to make wise, informed choices, and not just wholesale adopt a position just because someone told you to. So they're really trying to spread out the different mindsets or approaches that people have with regards to health. This is the flip through of their health elective, which is still in a beta version, and this is for grades 10 to 12. They do note that it can be suitable for grade 9 students. The course is 3 times a week for about 45 minutes per session. The books that they read and no supplies, quick links that they need as they move through the course, and a how-to approach. So one thing for these high school electives is that they are written for the student to go through on their own. So this is something where by this time, if they're in high school, they should be able to work through the course, and it can be independent work. But they do note that if you want to be familiar with what they're going through, then just make sure to go through the lesson plans. For the lesson plans, you have an introduction, usually some kind of video or article to read, or some reading assignments from the books that they go through. And it's a time for them to reflect and narrate what they've been learning throughout this health elective course. They'll start keeping journals, or sorry, not journals, but a health notebook where they can write down their goals and observations. Okay, and that is the health elective course. And this is 27 pages long, and these are the exam questions on this course. Okay, last but not least, physical education, PE. Now, PE is broken up into three groups of grades. So there's grades 1 to 3, 4 to 6, and 7 to 12. Now, Mason emphasized that being physically fit is just as important as being mentally and spiritually fit, and that she used a combination of Swedish drill, playground games, sports, dance, free play, and afternoon walks to make sure students had time for vigorous exercise every single day. In grades 1 to 3, this is where they focus on playground songs and rhymes, jump rope, folk dancing, and just free play. The emphasis is to work on hand-eye coordination, rhythm, words, and movement games. The book that they use here is called the Book of Playground Songs and Rhymes and the Book of Song Dances. And they've even created a SoundCloud playlist that supplies the music. Grades 4 to 6, folk dancing continues, and they add more playground games, sports such as soccer, basketball, croquet, and more free play and circuits for fitness habits. The books used here are the Ultimate Homeschool Physical Education Game Book and 303 tween-approved exercises and active games. Grades 7 to 12, there'll be more building on playground games, sports, and circuits. Now, folk dancing matures into historic dancing. So students will learn dances that were popular in the historical period that they're studying, and they'll perform them to period music. Now, Alveary recommends prioritizing the historic dance because it's less likely to be obtained elsewhere and gives depth and richness to a student's understanding of that time period. What's great is that they include all the SoundCloud playlists, the video tutorials for the music and dance instruction. So that is all included in the lesson plans. Another thing that Alveary provides as a practical note is that these lessons are really optional. If your family already has particular rhythms for how you incorporate physical activity, if you're involved in any kind of sports. So the Alveary isn't trying to replace that time. It's really just to add those lessons so you can have a full option if you're not involved in anything else. This is the flip through for physical education for grades 7 to 12. And here you can see that this is how many times that it is scheduled and what types of subjects are covered during that time. And you can see there's also some overlap with grades 4 through 12. So this particular one is not just 7 through 12. Planning and prep and the books that are used here. And all this applies, so this is so helpful to have, the gear that you would need to do the PE exercises. And as always, quick links that includes videos, especially for the historic dancing that is in this course. Guidance on how to teach. And these are the lesson plans. So there's always some kind of introduction to what they are doing, whether it is a playground game, free play, or circuits, and some notes that they give there and what types of exercises that they're doing and how many sets to do. And yeah, that is the lesson plan for PE. And it just kind of cycles through that. So for this grade level, the lesson plans are about 52 pages long. So definitely a lot of content that they put in here and guidance for going through the 2 books that they use. And then for exams, usually it's some type of demonstration of what they've learned in PE. For the physical education course, that is available as a standalone product as well. Okay, guys, we made it. You made it through to the final episode of my Alveary review series. Gosh, if you've watched all 10, thank you very much. You've made it on this journey with me. Oh man, I've learned a lot. Like, to be honest, I really learned a lot just by doing this. And yeah, if this is your first video though, make sure that you do check out the rest of the series that will be up here. Yes. Sorry, I always have to do a double take of where it's supposed to be, up here. And yes, I've learned so much doing this series. I'm thinking that my other curriculum reviews will not be as intensive as this. I think Alveary really is in a class of its own. So I hope you understand and see why this series was so long, like so long. Like I did mention though, because I've learned so much, there will be a part 11. And part 11 will really be like a wrap up, like sharing about my own final thoughts. I'll share a little bit about how I used the curriculum, because I know that this review series, it's really meant for you guys to, again, see the curriculum yourselves and make an informed decision, not based on what I tell you to do or how I view something, but based on just what you see in these deep dives. So that's really the point of why I've made these reviews as long as they've been. But at the same time, I did want to share some of my own observations then about Alveary curriculum as a whole, who it might be good for and who it might not be a great fit for. I think that's also good to know. So part 11, because 10 just wasn't enough. So like I always say, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you know when the next video drops. The goal I am setting for myself, my first goal, is 1,000 subscribers. By the time of this recording, I hit 250, which is like, yay, baby steps. Thank you for doing that. When you subscribe, it really tells me that this content has been helpful for you, and it encourages me to keep going and to keep sharing and really just to serve you guys in the Charlotte Mason community and beyond. Also, comment below if there is another curriculum you'd like me to review. Even if it's curriculum that may not be explicitly Charlotte Mason, because like I've really discovered is that there are a lot of curriculum options out there that may not say they're for Charlotte Masoners, but they really can be aligned with Charlotte Mason's philosophy. Lastly, if you are considering any one of the what I call the big 5 Charlotte Mason curriculum, so that includes Alveary, A Gentle Feast, Ambleside Online, the CMEC, and Simply Charlotte Mason. If you're considering any of those 5 for your coming year, you're going to want to look at my big 5 curriculum decision matrix. So I've laid out in a nice graphic which curriculum might be a good fit for you based on what you are looking for, because these 5 curricula are very different. They are very different, and they will fit one family. They might not fit another type of family. It's really dependent on what you need and what's going to be a good fit for you. So how do you get that? I will share a link below in the description box. Sign up for my emails and I will send that decision matrix to you right away. And that's it. You made it. Thank you. This has been an adventure. learning a lot. Okay. The next video, part 11, I hope you guys like that, just as a final wrap up. And after this series is like done, I can finally get to some episodes of just sharing about Charlotte Mason's philosophy and really equipping you so that you feel confident in grasping her philosophy and finding freedom in her philosophy and just finding that there's so much that she really gets right in how children learn. All right, until next time, love you guys. Bye.